Charging the mouthfill at depth does not feel the same as charging it dry. The mechanics are basically the same, except at depth you'll have to push much harder than what you have to push now. The reason is your lungs are being compressed by the water, and because you're upside down, you have to compress the lungs much more yourself in order to push the air up into the throat and the mouth. So what you'll find is most people, when they go into the water, they can't take a full charge right away. So what I would recommend is you train yourself to top up. So this would mean you take as big a charge as possible, and then you do a few smaller charges afterwards until you feel really full. So it would look like this. So I do one main charge and then smaller charges until I feel really full. I'll repeat it one more time. Another thing that you can do is to simulate topping up. After you've took your charge, you'll be continuing to go deeper. There's more pressure. This pressure is reducing the volume of the charge, so you'll have more space then in your mouth. So you'll then be able to bring up more air and refill the charge. To simulate this, you can take a full charge, slowly, just gently release the seal that you have with your fingers on your nose. So you just lose a little bit of air. Then you bring up more air from the lungs to compensate for that loss in volume and refill your charge again. This simulates what will be happening to the air in your mouth as you're descending to depth. So it would look like this. One thing to add is the less air you start with in your lungs, the more it's going to simulate how it's going to feel at depth. Because the less air you have in your lungs, the harder you have to push dry. So it's going to be more similar to how it will feel at depth. When you are doing these top-ups at depth, you can only do them up until your residual volume. Your residual volume is the point at which you'll no longer be able to push up air from your lungs. And what you'll notice in the water is the deeper you go, the harder you've got to push until you bring air up. So the more you can practice this dry, the better it's going to cross over into your deep training. Okay, so now you have a good idea of how to bring up the air and take your original charge. Now the tricky thing is, you're used to equalizing by using the tongue and the throat, but you're going to be so full of air and your tongue is down that this is no longer possible. So after you've took your charge, how you will equalize is by leaving the tongue down and relaxed and squeezing the cheeks. As you squeeze the cheeks, you increase the pressure inside your mouth, which will then equalize your ears. So it will look like this. The throat is down low, the tongue is not sealed up against the soft palate, and the pressure is coming purely from the squeezing of the cheeks. Once you start to get a good feeling of this, and it starts to feel a bit natural, and you don't have the habit of bringing the tongue up and trying to equalize with the throat. So if you're doing that, it will look more like this. Obviously that's going to be a problem because we can no longer use the air in our cheeks. So once you are capable of equalizing with the cheeks, we can make it a little bit harder by using an otter vent with a balloon. To do this, you do your normal charge, M charge, until you feel the balloon is inflated a little bit. You then simply squeeze with the cheeks, the air will get pushed out the nose into the balloon. Then you relax the cheeks, the air will go from the balloon back into the cheeks, and then you squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax. And you should see, as soon as you squeeze, the air goes into here. If it seems like there's some sort of obstruction, then you have the habit of bringing the tongue up, and that's incorrect. So it should look like this.